The allegations Meghan has made are simply not true. Her account does not reflect what actually happened, and it has led the public to a deeply misleading impression. That version of events has no basis in reality. Catherine is stepping into an important new chapter, and she has my full support.
In the faint light of a secluded office at Kensington Palace, Prince William prepared for an interview that would soon become one of the most discussed in modern royal annals. The atmosphere was heavy with strain, built from long-held resentments and conflicts waged in secrecy. Beyond the walls, London continued its routine, unaware of the major change about to occur. But within, William recognised it was time to correct the narrative. For several months, speculations had circulated wildly, much like leaves scattered by fall breezes. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, stood on the brink of a fresh period in the royal institution. With whispers about King Charles's well-being intensifying and the succession appearing more precarious than before, her position was shifting from a helpful spouse to the reliable force capable of steering the monarchy forward. She had consistently provided subtle fortitude, the bond keeping the family intact during turmoil. However, as she advanced toward that pinnacle role, echoes from earlier times risked sabotaging it all. Then there's Meghan Markle. From the other side of the Atlantic, her story had gained traction, nourished by talks, publications, and constant media fodder. Accusations of prejudice, harassment, and familial divides depicted the royal residence as a chilly, inhospitable stronghold. William had observed the developments, his irritation mounting like an approaching tempest. He possessed the facts, or at least his perspective on them, and during this private discussion, he held nothing back. The questioner moved closer, with camera illumination creating extended shadows. William's expression remained calm, yet his gaze radiated determination. "Catherine is embarking on a crucial new stage," he declared resolutely, "and she has my unwavering endorsement." The accusations Meghan has levelled are plainly untrue. Her recounting doesn't mirror the actual occurrences, and it has fostered a seriously deceptive perception among the public. That depiction holds no grounding in fact. The statements lingered, posing a straightforward rebuttal to the Sussexes' meticulously constructed tale. But why at this moment? Why chance reviving past hurts when the monarchy was already traversing dangerous territory? It stemmed from a pressing need. Catherine's upcoming advancement wasn't merely symbolic, it concerned endurance. The populace admired her, viewing her as the contemporary embodiment of royalty, down to earth and authentic. Still, defamations from Meghan's faction endangered that reputation at the most inopportune juncture. As the conversation progressed, William explored further, his tone firm yet tinged with feeling. He discussed devotion, safeguarding those dearest to him. The palace had traditionally been a realm of confidentiality, but on this evening, one prince was prepared to protect his princess. What propelled him to this juncture? The response resided in a network of inventions that had been developing for years, poised to trap the prospective queen prior to her rise. The mist outside appeared to densify, echoing the ambiguity to come. William's rebuttal wasn't merely verbal, it was a rallying call, and as the recording continued, the royal clan prepared for the repercussions. Continue exploring to discover the origins of this royal divide. Away from the splendour of Buckingham Palace, amid the sunlit slopes of Montecito, a different narrative was being crafted. Meghan Markle, formerly the vibrant newcomer to the royal circle, had established a domain based on disclosures that rattled the monarchy's base. Her 2021 chat with Oprah marked the initial assault. Assertions of bigotry and seclusion that portrayed the Windsors as disconnected and harsh. As years went by, those murmurs escalated into an uproar, particularly as Catherine's prominence ascended. Meghan's supporters, reinforced by Confederates and public outings, appeared determined to overhaul the storyline. Volumes such as Prince Harry's Spare magnified the accounts. Disputes over bridesmaid outfits resulting in sobs, distant attitudes at kin assemblies, and a clan resistant to transformation. However, confidants murmured that a lot of it rested on partial realities inflated for effect. The bridesmaid episode, for instance, had been distorted. Accounts from credible origins verified that it was Meghan who distressed Catherine, rather than vice versa. William had privately acknowledged to sharing the incident with King Charles, solely to preserve familial peace. Presently, with Catherine positioned for increased duties, these prior assertions re-emerged with fresh malice. Gossip rags, purportedly supplied by disclosures from Meghan's associates, published pieces doubting Catherine's preparedness. Was she overly centred on kin, excessively conventional? The scheduling was deliberate. As King Charles confronted his personal difficulties, encompassing the fresh revocation of Prince Andrew's designations amid controversy, the monarchy required cohesion. Andrew's dissent in October 2025, forfeiting his princely designation and Royal Lodge residence, acted as a harsh caution that nobody was immune. Meghan, perceiving her sway diminishing, seemed to intensify efforts, exploiting the disorder to elevate her own status. William perceived it distinctly in his discussion. He hinted at the inventions without specifying individuals outright, but the suggestion was pointed. Her depiction fails to align with what truly transpired, he restated, his chin firm. He recognized the populace was being deceived, pulled into a spectacle that warped actuality. Catherine, perpetually the peacemaker, had remained quiet, concentrating on her obligations. But William couldn't. Not when the calumnies aimed at the lady who had supported him through all ordeals. The palace hallways resounded with subdued dialogues. Consultants recommended prudence, but William forged ahead. He reminisced about the initial period when Meghan first joined. Expectations were elevated for a cohesive alliance. 4 royals updating the establishment, but fissures emerged rapidly. Harry's publication outlined quarrels, yet left out William's attempts to broker peace. Now those exclusions propelled a bid for dominance, with Meghan's enterprise prospering via dispute. As the interview recording halted for an intermission, William gazed through the pane. The urban illuminations sparkled, unconcerned with the upheaval. He understood that protecting Catherine entailed facing history directly, but what precisely constituted these inventions? The reality, concealed in royal records and observer testimonies, was on the verge of emerging. The accusations had begun modestly, akin to ripples in a pool, but they expanded into surges battering the royal coasts. Meghan's Oprah session unleashed shocks, worries regarding Archie's complexion, a kin that provided no aid amid her psychological health issues. The Globe reacted in shock, but William and Catherine comprehended the complete account was more layered. Allies near the palace disclosed that dialogues about the infant's looks were harmless cultural inquiries, morphed into bigotry for utmost effect. Subsequently arrived the harassment assertions. In 2018, stories arose that Meghan had reduced employees to weeping, fostering a poisonous setting. Kensington Palace probed, but Meghan responded with her own tale of victimization. Gossip sheets exploited both angles, but a trend surfaced. Narratives lauding Meghan frequently belittled Catherine. One caption extolled Meghan's avocado toast as inspiring, while censuring Catherine's comparable selections as trivial. It represented a hypocrisy, propelled by disclosures that appeared to stem from California. William, in his private discussion, pierced the clamour. That portrayal possesses no foundation in actuality, he affirmed, his voice steadfast. He mentioned the bridesmaid attire debacle, where Harry's volume alleged Catherine caused Meghan to weep, but palace confidants affirmed the opposite. Meghan's requests had disturbed Catherine, who was recovering from childbirth and sensitive. William had encouraged Harry to amend the account, but the publication reinforced it, excluding vital elements. As Catherine geared up for her heightened position, these defamations escalated. With Andrew's designation revoked amid his Epstein connections, the monarchy was exposed. King Charles's 2025 choice to eliminate Andrew's distinctions was a daring step to purge, but it underscored inner divisions. Meghan, encountering her own fading prominence, purportedly arranged gossip rag assaults to recapture attention. Accounts from British outlets indicated a rise in adverse Catherine articles following Sussex declarations, implying organised campaigns. William's rebuttal wasn't solely individual, it was organisational. He addressed Catherine's steadfast backing, how she had managed communal examination with elegance. The inventions, he suggested, were a frantic pursuit of authority. Harry's Netflix production widened the gap, depicting William as confrontational in kin sessions. Yet, participants described a sibling appealing for harmony, not clash. The discussion space felt electrified, the atmosphere laden with unvoiced remorse. William halted, gathering his ideas. He realized revealing these facts hazarded additional retaliation, but quietude was no longer viable. Catherine's prospects as Queen Consort hinged on dispelling the myths. What would her path to this stage disclose about her fortitude? The solutions resided in her history, a narrative of endurance that refuted each defamation. Returning to the office, the interview recommenced beneath the gentle buzz of capturing devices. William inclined ahead, his palms joined, prepared to expose everything. "Catherine enjoys my complete endorsement," he reiterated, stressing every syllable. This wasn't practiced, it was genuine, arising from years of witnessing his spouse withstand baseless assaults. He elaborated on how Meghan's assertions had warped basic kin interactions into controversies, misleading the populace. He tackled the bigotry claims directly, repeating his 2021 declaration, "We are very much not a racist family." But this instance was intimate. With Catherine's wellness struggles in recent times, including her cancer revelation, William emphasized her fragility. The defamations arrived when she required tranquility, not strife. He charged Meghan's group with synchronizing their exposures to align with Catherine's achievements, such as her resumption of communal roles. Andrew's decline ignited William's passion further. Deprived of designations in 2025, Andrew's banishment represented the monarchy's intolerance for disgrace. William made comparisons. Just as Andrew's links sullied the kin, Meghan's inventions undermined confidence. He asserted she orchestrated gossip disclosures, enhancing her persona while defaming Catherine. Allies from press entities verified increases in negative tales connected to Sussex publicity manoeuvres. William's demeanour transitioned to safeguarding zeal. He commended Catherine's contribution to updating the monarchy, her efforts in early youth and psychological wellness. "She's the future," he declared, implying her significance exceeded customary boundaries. The discussion unveiled his exasperation with Harry's volume, where confidential messages were disclosed without context. William had messaged worry, not fury, but it was twisted as intimidation. As the meeting concluded, William rose confidently. His rebuttal served as a barrier for Catherine, but also a caution. The monarchy wouldn't endure fragmentation. Beyond, the evening intensified, but a fresh lucidity arose. Catherine's route to queenship was now openly safeguarded. Nevertheless, to grasp her completely, one needed to follow her beginnings. A story of commonplace starts culminating in remarkable destiny. Catherine Elizabeth Middleton arrived on a brisk January day in 1982, distant from palace splendour. Born in Reading to a flight coordinator dad and ex-attendant mum, her existence embodied middle-class drive. The kin relocated to Jordan at her age 2, introducing her to varied societies prematurely. By 4, returned to England, she joined St Andrew's School, displaying self-reliance that would characterise her. Her parents' celebration supplies enterprise, Party Pieces, instilled endurance. At Marlborough College, she led hockey, achieved the Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award, and handled obstacles like minor operations with composure. A sabbatical year in Florence and Chile refined her flexibility, engaging in societal initiatives and serving as a sailor. At St Andrews University, pursuing art history, she encountered William. Their camaraderie evolved into romance, enduring a 2007 separation that fortified her. Wedlock in 2011 propelled her into prominence. As Duchess of Cambridge, she juggled parenthood to George, Charlotte, and Louis with royal responsibilities. Her philanthropic endeavours shone, contributing hair to cancer prosthetics, collecting funds for UNICEF, advancing psychological health. Even pre-royalty, she arranged occasions amassing thousands. These deeds weren't performative, they mirrored her essence. As defamations from Meghan's faction accumulated, Catherine's tale refuted them. Gossip rags once dubbed her weighty Katie, but she demonstrated her value. With William's rebuttal in the discussion, her storyline reclaimed prominence. She wasn't ambitious for control, she was ready. Her wellness odyssey in 2024 to 2025, confronting cancer with poise, endeared her more. The populace beheld a prospective queen who represented optimism, not discord. William's statements reflected her progression from ordinary citizen to partner, gaining admiration via deeds. But the gossip press's function in this epic couldn't be overlooked. How had they turned into armaments in a royal conflict? The British media had long served as a mixed blessing for the royals, but in this schism, it transformed into a combat zone. Analyses revealed blatant inequalities. Meghan's behaviours attracted severe judgment, while Catherine's analogous ones garnered acclaim. Avocado toast, empowering for one, extravagant for the other, cradling bumps, charming for Catherine, staged for Meghan. This discrepancy incited separation, with disclosures purportedly from Meghan's confederates setting the women in opposition. William's discussion highlighted it. It has fostered a profoundly deceptive perception among the public, he stated, indicating invented tales. Confidants alleged Meghan coordinated defamations to boost her enterprise, particularly as her clout declined. With audio programs and agreements stumbling, gossip rags became instruments to weaken Catherine, especially as she approached queenship. Andrew's revocation of designations heightened the spectacle. In October 2025, King Charles commenced the procedure, ousting him from Royal Lodge amid Epstein consequences. Andrew, now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, epitomized responsibility. William connected this to Meghan. Her era was expiring, her tales disintegrating under examination. Palace announcements verified Andrew's ouster was conclusive, a signal that no individual was beyond censure. Gossip rags, once Meghan's enhancers, pivoted. Accounts of her employee harassment reappeared, contrasting Catherine's nurturing persona. William's rebuttal underscored how these defamations aligned with Catherine's landmarks, like her recovery from cancer. The monarchy after Andrew necessitated openness. Meghan's inventions, constructed on chosen realities, encountered resistance. As the discussion's influence disseminated, the palace sensed a transformation. William had established a boundary, but what awaited Catherine and the crown? With William's statements still echoing across corridors of authority and the public's awareness, the British monarchy's prospects abruptly came into clearer view than previously. Catherine's function, traditionally regarded as a foundation of subtle aid, went beyond the purely ritualistic. Royal analysts and observers alike praised her as the possible rescuer of an establishment balancing on the brink of obsolescence in a contemporary era. Latest surveys illustrated a clear image of her escalating appeal, with YouGov polls indicating her approval at a notable 68% among those familiar with her, surpassing even her spouse William at 62% and King Charles at 54%. Her valiant fight against cancer, disclosed in early 2024 and managed with extraordinary dignity, had personalized the monarchy in manners no prepared address could achieve, converting it from a remote emblem into a relatable unit affected by genuine human difficulties. As King Charles persisted in contending with his own medical issues, identified with an unrevealed type of cancer in February 2024, and receiving continuous care that encompassed breaks for global journeys like his triumphant October 2024 trip to Australia and Samoa, Catherine's readiness for expanded obligations heightened substantially. She increased her communal commitments. From sincere trips to neighbourhoods in Southport to touching participations in memorial occasions, immersing further into governmental affairs with a composure that conveyed much about her preparedness to navigate the vessel through stormy seas. William's backing for her stayed unshakable, a bulwark against the tempests originating from distant. In his discussion, he depicted Catherine not merely as his companion, but as vital to the monarchy's persistence, straightforwardly opposing the assertions from Meghan that aimed to reduce her standing and portray her as element of an exclusionary upper class. The Sussexes' strategic manoeuvre for influence, erected on a base of volatile accusations, like the notorious comments about their child's complexion in Meghan's 2021 Oprah session, started to weaken under deeper analysis. Autonomous inquiries and palace explanations uncovered no proof of ill intent, presenting those exchanges instead as benign cultural interests warped into dramatic sensation for peak press effect. Andrew's banishment, formalised in October 2025 with the elimination of his leftover designations and removal from Royal Lodge amid persistent Epstein links, functioned as a severe affirmation of the necessity for indestructible solidarity. Any additional split, William hinted, could collapse the whole House of Windsor like a delicate structure in a storm. Through it all, Catherine stayed the model of serenity, directing her vigour toward her kin and her valued initiatives. From psychological health promotion to early youth growth programmes that connected profoundly with a populace desiring genuineness. The insights from her formative years, anchored in a practical rearing that stressed diligence, versatility, and subtle endurance, had shaped her into the person she is now. Ideally suited to confront the Crown's impending challenges, William's daring discussion signified a critical juncture, reclaiming command of the storyline from gossip-driven disorder and redirecting it toward a tale of fortitude and revival. The public, fatigued by an onslaught of controversies spanning from Andrew's collapse to the continuing Sussex disclosures, united behind her with fresh energy, as shown by increasing support figures that established her as the monarchy's most luminous prospect. However, substantial obstacles still hovered ahead. The demanding duty of reconstructing diminished faith in a time of doubt, updating archaic customs without estranging the devoted supporters who treasured them, and manoeuvring generational changes where younger groups queried the establishment's pertinence. Recent figures from NatCen emphasised this delicate equilibrium, with merely 58% supporting maintenance of the monarchy versus 38% favouring a chosen leader, highlighting the immediacy of Catherine's developing function. The palace, formerly plagued with cracks from inner schisms and outer strains, displayed preliminary indications of recovery under this novel framework. William's firm position had not only protected Catherine from the barbs and darts of invention, but also preserved the Crown's lasting heritage, guaranteeing it could evolve and prosper. As the initial traces of morning emerged over London's hazy outline, bathing Buckingham Palace's exterior in a radiant shine, a fresh section invited, one brimming with potential, danger, and the relentless drive of a princess ready to reshape royalty. Ultimately, William's discussion wasn't simply a safeguard, it was an assertion. Catherine arose more robust, her route to queenship freed from obscurity. Meghan's inventions revealed as bids for dominance forfeited their bite. Andrew's decline acted as a warning story. His designations vanished, his sway non-existent. The monarchy, via Catherine's poise, appeared poised to flourish. What are your views on William's courageous position? Does Catherine merit this advancement? How might Meghan react? Post your opinions below.